Okay, I just want to give you a little bit of a background of where we've been. So we go back to the last election, and just run through who won, by what amount, and then I'm going to give you a little bit of my thought as to what is going to happen in that ward for the upcoming election. And I certainly welcome anybody to after the meeting bring up if they know any even more up to date than what I'm going to give you. But okay, let's start with Ward 1. Dale Hodges. Dale is 72 years old, not too good of health, and the rumor mill has it that Dale will not run again. Chris Harper, who of course we came in second and is becoming quite a fixture in that ward, is very much the Nenshi leaning. He will fit the civic camp quite well. So likely as not, that would be a ward that we have to have a good candidate to run in. Ward 2, Gord Lowe. Right now we're being told that Gord is going to make that decision, I think, by Christmas, Bravin?
January.
January?
Yes.
Looking at it with this Biaglio, I'm not so sure it would matter whether Gord runs or not. I think Biaglio could beat him. He's a much younger man, he's a businessman. Now, whether he would be on our side or not, that I'm not sure of. And, quite frankly, we haven't had an opportunity to talk to him yet. But I don't think you can count on Gord Lowe. And Gord might fit in the gray on the circle. Jim Stevenson, there's no concerns there. Gail McLeod definitely is, with Nenshi in the gang. And I don't know if we have a good alternative to run there right now at all. Ray Jones, again, my only concern is Ray is so sick and tired of being lied to by administration that he may decide not to run. Now, I've talked to him, Shane's talked to him. I think that's just out of frustration that one particular week, or at least I hope so. But he was pretty ticked the last time I talked to him. But I think you can kind of count on Ray to run. Richard Bootmans, he's kind of so-so. I know there's a few here that like him. There's a few that don't. I don't know if anyone. I know Joe Conley has talked about running there, and even Joe doesn't think he can beat him. Drew Farrell. Well, in case anyone doesn't know, she doesn't like me, and I don't particularly like her. I had 13 trucks out last election delivering signs and assembling them, and I got called by Drew in the elections because they said I'd given $5,000 in cash, so therefore my trucks that were out delivering put me over the $5,000 limit, so they were going to take us to court. So Drew and I don't see eye to eye, obviously. That there, Kevin Taylor, you can see he lost by 1,300 votes last time. Kevin is a really, really good guy. I've known Kevin now for around 3-4 years. He comes from Montreal. He's been in Calgary for quite a few years. He owns the Cheesecake Factory on the Cloud Trail. His father used to be president of Longshoremen's in Montreal, so he knows how to get things done. So I really like this guy. John Marr, talking with a lot of you people in this room, he's a little bit wishy-washy. We're never sure if he's in the gray or in the purple or just where he's at. So I'm not sure on that one there. Gian-Carlo Gian, Jay and I know this guy from a long time ago. He was actually the consultant to a woman that Jay and I have a business interest in, in some land, and he presented us down in Tucson that the land that the 320 acres that we own in the Northeast would become the first car-less subdivision in the city of Calgary. Car-less. So you park your cars around the periphery, you walk in. Obviously, Jay didn't agree to it. I didn't have any problem at all. So we've known this guy for a long time. He's not in the same world as we are. Andre Chabot, good guy, but of course he came out and spoke against the mayor and a few other people, and he got ostracized. So any of you in the development industry recognize that Andre is on no particular committee that has any importance at all. Brian Pincott, again. Brian is a strange one. James Maxim, as you can see, lost by 1,400 votes. James is running a game. Definitely will receive our support. Some of the things that we hear about, coming out of Brian's mouth, unbelievable, but, and I'll get into that just a little bit later on. Shane Keating. Shane is proved to be a really, really good guy. I even congratulate him on some of the stuff that he's done, only because he appears to use logic and common sense, which is a wee bit lacking at City Hall right now. Diane Colley-Urquhart, unfortunately she just lost her husband here 3 months ago, but we did go down and talk to her because the last couple of years she hasn't really been totally there or totally on side, and her explanation was, unfortunately, with her husband being as sick as he was, most of the time she didn't have time to really pay attention, but she's assured us now that she will, and so, Diane Colley-Urquhart, that's really prepared to work, is a good person for us, I believe. And Peter Demong, I think, has done a real good job for us to this point. So now, who are we going to support? And I'm saying when we, and keeping in mind, that hopefully we can try to convince you to do the same thing, but, obviously in the wards 1 and 2, being unknown right now, Jay and I haven't thrown any support behind anybody. In Ward 3, Jim Stevenson, we've thrown support behind. Ray Jones, we've supported. Poopmans, I supported his fundraiser, but that's about all. Drew Farrell, Jesus, Jay didn't send anybody to do either.
Right there.
We obviously sent money to Kevin Taylor. John Marr, well, that was just a fundraiser. Guillen didn't get any. Andre, we looked after. Pincott, James Maxim, we looked after there. Keating, we looked after. Diane, we looked after. Peter Demong. So that's kind of where we're at, in as far as, why we're doing it. Now, keep in mind, this is not my particular game. I don't know the rules of the political, game at all, nor did I ever want to know anything about it. It's like Bolazetti said to me the other day, we never used to have to pay attention. Well, unfortunately, that's changed. There are some people that are on the city council that are totally out of control, and I'm just going to give you a few examples. Kevin Taylor phones me from city council last week, and he's sitting there saying, "You'll never believe what just came up." No, tell me. He says, "How many cars do you own?" I have to admit 4. And he says, "Which 2 are you going to sell?" I says, "What do you mean by the CHBA or CMHC?" And Roland Stanley, the new planner at the City of Calgary, he's making a presentation. And when I asked her, well, what did you think of his presentation? And keeping in mind, she's a relatively proper gal. And when she says he's a fucking idiot, I kind of, what the hell is this? I didn't think she knew the word. Anyway, she said this guy is just untenable. What he was suggesting is he had a map on his chart, and he showed that area up here in the north, that area down here in the south. Those will be the only 2 areas that get approved in the next 10 to 15 years in the city of Calgary. And he also said, there's houses are way too big in the city of Calgary, and that I, myself and my dog could live in 400 square feet, so we'd like to see a little more of that. So for any of the plumbers who maybe aren't concerned until now, I don't think you put 2.5 bath in 400 square feet. And you know, the only nice part of this whole thing is that Roland Stanley, it doesn't matter how weird of an idea he comes with, he has to get 8 votes in city council. So as long as we have the votes swinging our way, and right now, you know, from the charts that you've seen, it can go either way. When you've got a bunch of people there that can be swayed either way, like I know of one time where Koopmans was kind of guided as to, you know, maybe vote for us when it comes up, and then he forgot to ask any questions and forgot to vote the right way. So I guess it's the last person who talks, sort of thing. So that's where you get the waffers in there, you know. So unless we kind of assured that we've got somebody who is business marketed, business orientated, we could be in for a long, hard haul. Now, keeping in mind too, this upcoming election, you are now voting for 4-year terms. So unless we get somebody in there that's really going to, you know, be more on our side than the dark side, you know, we're talking another 4 years after next October. So anyway, you know, there's a couple of things to keep in mind here, you know, when you're looking at, you know, whether you're going to support here or there or wherever. The rumor mill has it that Civic Camp, which is, you know, was started by Chris Turner, who lost the election last night to Crockett, and Nenchi started Civic Camp. They are the founders of Civic Camp. A lot of people didn't know that. And supposedly, they are going to run an entire slate. Now, I think they've already got a few of them there, so, you know, obviously they don't have to come up with a whole 14. But supposedly, they will run an entire slate. And also keep in mind, these guys are political science people, and they know how to play the social media. I know Shane's been on the social media with Nenchi many, many times, you know, arguing over what he believes is right and what Nenchi believes is right. And as soon as Shane catches on something, then he doesn't. He ceases. So they will definitely, you know, run candidates, you know, in the upcoming election, and they're quite well, you know, quite well organized. They are also aware that we are working on something. They don't know for sure, but they know that the industry is working on something against them. Dimitri asked me a question a little earlier on. Can anyone beat Nenchi? And I said, no, likely not. I'm not sure what he was probing for, but you know, I don't think he can. You know, and I had in my notes here, I don't think he's beatable. But you know, when I talked to Dave Bronconnier, Dave is sitting there saying, it doesn't matter if you got the mayor on your side or not. You need 8 votes. So that as long as you have 8 votes, you can control whatever happens. So for whatever and however, we have to ensure that we end up with the 8 votes. Now, one of the things, you know, when you're looking at getting rid of, you know, an incumbent, you know, such as Drew Farrell or Pincott, the candidates that, you know, Kevin Taylor and James Maxim are suggesting that they need somewhere in the area of $150,000 to $200,000 in their campaign funds. Now, that could be maybe a little bit less because Chris has promised every United truck, you know, to be made available, and he's going to print the signs on their computers. And so maybe he can get by with $125,000. But that's how much money these guys think they need. Now, the other thing is, keep in mind, you could only send them $5,000 per year. And that means you got 35 days to send in this year's tranche, and then next year you could send in the additional. So it's really quite important that, you know, that you get on that. You know, Kevin Taylor and James Maxim, talking with both of them here the last couple of days, because I've known these guys for a fair degree of time. Actually, I've known James Maxim for 34 years. James so far has got $10,000, and that came from Jay and I. Except he's already put up 30,000, so he's 20,000 behind. And Kevin's telling me that he's in roughly the same. So I would really strongly encourage you to send the money over to him. I've given you I gave you some contact information in the previous memo that I sent. If you want additional information, you can get that through either Jay or I on the contact numbers for them. But if we don't support them, then I guess it's like I said to Jay earlier on, you get exactly what you deserve. Because we do know that there'll be another group like Civic Camp that will be coming against us. I guess when it comes down to money, you have to sit there and kind of work it on the basis of not how much it's costing you, how much is it costing you by not doing it. I've got a number of developers here suggest that it's maybe costing you a couple $1 million a year because you can't get your land on. Well, if you follow the Roland Stanley rule, you're not going to get it on forever, so you might as well just write that off right now. So how much does it really cost you? So if we have to sit here and say, we have to fund maybe 10 candidates here for 5,000, that's 50 grand this year, 50 next year. Keeping in mind, in order to bring Preston on board, 11 of us put up 100,000, so $1.1 million. So it's not like we haven't put up our money, and we're going to be there to put it up again, and we're also supporting the candidates. So I'll leave you with that. It's up to you guys on whether you want to succeed going down the road or not. I'm scared as hell, and quite frankly, if they were to win, I'm not so sure I'll stay in business. Because I think it'll be an untenable situation.
Well, thank you, Cal. At this point, I'd like to make one other point here. The funding that we've done has brought on Dimitri as working for our group called Municipal Government Project. Municipal Government Project. Dimitri's come on full-time on behalf of this group. Preston, the Manning Center, has come on to help the support for this group. And we have another fellow, which, and I find out in the political language, is another researcher starting in January. I've read some of his work. Some developers in the room have seen his work. He did a piece out of Winnipeg at the time, or actually, he was based out of Winnipeg. He did a piece in Saskatoon about what the benefits of growth are. That was very encouraging. But he's coming on as well here in January, coming out of our current funding.